Hey, welcome everybody to another episode, 1019 to Watch Commander. We are here with the amazing Captain Mike. Captain Mike is here. And special guest, Kevin Kazan. We're going to get into his story in just a minute here.
Hey,
and
everybody.
myself, the pusher of buttons, myself, Ken Roybal. And we got a show for you tonight. Kevin, thank you for being here. Welcome to the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And Kevin got his tech. He has a tech guy that set him up tonight, and that's pretty cool. But let's say hello to some folks. Tracy is in the house. Hello, Tracy. And Dave Elsass already making trouble for me. Hey, everyone, welcome. Remind me to sign up for your BJJ Safe app. So when you go roll around and get your hip C, that is a video that came out today. And with LAPD, and I'll maybe I can throw it up there next week. I didn't have time to get the video, but Dave, I'm with you, man. I don't think I want to do that. You got to get up close with the suspect there, and I'm not really feeling that. So I'm with you on that. Passe is here. Passe, what's up, man? Passe. I don't know what this means. Tracy.
I think she was asking Elsass if he was serious about that kabuki dance you guys do over there at LAPD.
I'm not, man. I saw that today, and I'm like, I don't think that's cool. Dave Elsass is gonna cause me problems tonight. I just feel it, and yeah, here we go. And Zippy's here. Zippy in the house. And hey, Zippy, how you doing? From the beautiful Sierras. That sounds kind of cool.
That's where
and
we at.
Dale Hedges is here. Doggone it! I was gonna put the thing for Dale Hedges' book up again. Dang it!
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. What's going on, man?
Dang it! GJ is here. His peeps. Hi to all my peeps. I've had my evening medicine. I don't know what that means. So I'm looking forward to an excellent show.
Yeah.
And
Greg.
Look at, he's so proud of you, Mike. Golly, making.
Well, you know what? I had to think twice, man. I almost started coughing and snorting like I always do, but fortunately, I have a red button on the back of my microphone now, so I just popped that, and it was good.
And Randall Glenn, all the way from Canada, and we are going to get some challenge coins from Canada from Randall. I got addresses coming into you, Randall, for that, and so. We got a pretty packed show for you. There's a lot of stuff, but before we get started with everything, Mike, let's open here. Let me get this correctly. And this is very sad news.
Yeah, I'm not sure if everyone's heard about this. I would think department members may have by now, but Art Reddy has been a fixture with one of the unions, POPA, for decades. I remember I served with him back in the 80s when he was on the board. He was a local rep. He was on the board of directors. He was also union guy doing nationwide stuff. Really, really good guy. We just found out this last week that he and his wife were both murdered by their 51-year-old son. That's a picture of him on the right-hand side there. And looking surprisingly like a murderer. I guess we'll have to see how the case works out, but this is just horrific news, and it's really a sad day for law enforcement and a sad day for LA County Sheriff's Department.
Was he in California or?
Art, yeah, he was. They were living in the Inland Empire, and apparently people hadn't heard from him for a while, so they went and did a door knock. They didn't get him there. So they went to another address, which is where the son lives. And gosh, I guess it turned into a barricade. They went to ask him about his, hey, have you seen your parents? And apparently he had, and it turned into a barricade with him. So they went back and forced entry into the Reddy house, and they found them murdered inside and ultimately took him into custody.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah. Yep. Good guy.
Okay. Well, I don't know if anybody remembers him, but if you do, is your information coming out for services or anything? You know?
Well, they're being really hush hush about it initially. At first, they said this guy was arrested for murdering his parents, and they didn't give their name, but they gave his name. And anybody that knows the Reddys knows their son. Another article came out where they gave their names, but they're being real hush hush about it, and I can understand why. Well, I'm sure we'll know more as time goes on.
Yeah. And we just who's this guy here? Our special guest tonight, Kevin Kazan. Kevin was at the old just before RTD became MTA, and when LAPD and LASD absorbed MTA, Kevin went the route of LASD. And here, so Kevin, tell us about your story. You were a cop for how long, and how did you end up at LA County Sheriff's?
Well, I started in December of 1994, and I started with the MTA. It was a tough time for somebody who speaks one language, who doesn't have military time, and doesn't have a degree. They were everything was affirmative action, and I ran into a lot of closed doors. I tested well, but was not selected, and I was told quietly at Long Beach and Los Angeles Police Department actually was pretty helpful that there was no point in applying in some of these places. So at any rate, I ultimately applied at the MTA, which was also affirmative action, but they were affirmative action as an overall employer, which included bus drivers, mechanics, and the rest. So the police department, being a tiny microcosm, was able to hire the people they wanted to hire, and they hired the best regardless of color and the rest of that. So I started there, and there are a lot of good people that came through there during that period of time. And we're talking 94, 95, maybe into 96. And by then the merger stuff was ongoing, and we were given a choice of LAPD or the Sheriff's Department. And it turned out I was the cutoff man. So if you were one person, if you were hired the same day as me, but your employee number was one higher, you went to LAPD. And so, yeah, I chose the Sheriff's Department, and I worked TSB out of the Blue Line down the street from Century for a while, and ultimately transferred into Twin Towers in '99. So I was out at the Blue Line there for a couple of years, and transferred into Twin Towers. And I kind of left something out. So I don't know how many of you know somebody on any police department that actually totaled a police car on their first day.
Nope.
I did that, and it led to actually some changes along the way. It wasn't my fault. It was a drunk driver T-boned me. But anyway. Yeah, so I ended up going back out, and after having some surgery and getting my back fixed up and all of that, and it sort of changed my trajectory. And I stayed at Twin Towers longer, and got into a pretty good fight and had more back surgery, and ultimately found a kind of a training path. I worked at the Twin Towers training office for quite a while. And gosh, I was there 10 or 12 years. Enjoyed that very much. Taught all kinds of less lethal weapons and first aid, CPR, became an EMT. I mean, all the trainings I was interested in, I got to attend and then pass on to everybody else. So ultimately I promoted to a supervising line deputy and moved over to access to care, where I essentially did the same thing. I ran a training department, this time of 2 instead of 4 or 5. So, and I left in 2021.
2020. You haven't been retired that long then.
No, not really. And it was a total of 26 years.
Yeah. Cool. Well, very good. And fun fact, I got the backgrounds, LAPD backgrounds in 1997, and they had just finished the MTA backgrounds for LAPD, and there were about 15 MTA officers that didn't pass their backgrounds, and they were going to the Civil Service Commission trying to appeal their not. So a lot of people don't know that you just don't go from one agency to another and then you go, voila, you're now LAPD, you're LASD. You have to pass the background, and if you don't, you're not a cop anymore. And that's what happened to about 15. And you said about 15 of them at LASD as well?
It was a similar number. I know 60% was the number that went to LAPD and 40% went to the sheriffs, but I want to say it was 10 or 12 or something like that. And I don't believe any of them succeeded. Where the background investigators said no, it was no. And they found some pretty righteous stuff that should have been picked up at the evals, if nothing. I mean, drunk drivings and stuff that just weren't reported through the agency. And you go through a background and funny, all that stuff comes up. So yeah, there were a number of people that didn't make it, and I didn't disagree with them.
Yeah, I wonder where people go like that.
I remember when we took over, we absorbed safety police, if you remember that.
Oh yes,
LA County Police.
LA Safety Police County. They did buildings and stuff. I think, man, a whole bunch of them didn't pass backgrounds.
Ones. Is that the ones where the sheriffs got in big trouble because they were hiring people who committed like ADW and things like that? Was that time when that happened? I remember. Yeah, I think that was.
It might have been. I mean, we absorbed the marshals. There wasn't that kind of issue with a lot of the marshals folks. They were pretty good. But I remember LA County, the safety police came in, and we were just like, holy moly!
A lot of them became CAs, as I remember.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A lot of them became trustees too. So
that's a little bit of a bad thing happening there. But let's go on to this next story. We covered something like this last week, and I was looking at this story. LA County Sheriff's recruit arrested for allegedly threatening a man with a gun. And I thought, oh, this is the same thing, blah, blah, blah. And it turns out it's a completely different guy. And he was in the academy when he committed his crime.
This was the third case. We mentioned it briefly last time. This is the one that just popped up. The other two had a little more information on, but this one, I knew it had occurred. I think maybe it's in there like Compton or Linwood or Inglewood or something. The guy's brandishing somebody, and I guess the guy took a photo of the license plate of his car on his way out. I mean, what a knucklehead. I mean, it's a good thing we weeded him out early, otherwise he'd be a problem that we're dealing with later on. But there was also the rumor that this was another DACA recipient. I am not sure if that's accurate or not, but I was told that we had three deputy DACA problems in like a week's period of time. But I can't say that for sure, but I know this guy was a probationer, so it's easy to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm. Well, he was actually still in the academy. So last week we talked about this guy that was holding his girlfriend hostage or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then this one here, he threatened somebody with a gun. And then the one that I'm not sure about is a female. I don't know if she's a probationer or something. And she
held up the note, said, "Help me, I'm being held hostage."
That was the one. That was the one last week. And then the one that I'm not sure about is the female that she was at a family gathering and someone grabbed her gun and they were shooting it in the air. Yeah. And then they took off.
But yeah. I mean, who knows the circumstances about how the family member got the gun. I mean, maybe it was her house but she's still not even supposed to have her gun. It's supposed to be locked in the watch commander's safe. So I don't know what was going on there, but to leave it around where some knucklehead in your family can grab it and start capping rounds in the air. And then to add to that, you jump in a car with the gun and drive off with your boyfriend who also has his own gun and get T-stopped. I mean, what do you think is going to happen? I guess we'll have to find out.
There are a couple of things though. It seems, how have we changed the hiring process? And what I mean by that is, if you go back to the mid 90s when I started, and I know you guys were before that a little bit, but if you go back to that time period, there were roughly 1,000 applicants for every hire. Sorry, Mike, I wasn't being sarcastic.
We're going way back.
That is correct.
And I wonder what the numbers are today. And the second thing is, in that last case that you brought up, that guy was 36 years old. He has to have had something going on. I mean, I would love to see his background. He wasn't a kid. It's not somebody 23, 24 years old. There's not a lot to look at. You're going back and talking to high school teachers. This guy was an adult for a longer period. Makes me wonder.
Yeah. And he, backgrounds is risk management. You're just kind of throwing the dice and going, yeah, everything looks okay from what we know. And then they go to psych, same thing, right? Yeah, he meets the requirements to join. But then they come and do this stuff. But the interesting thing about these guys is these guys are brand new on the job. And they're already like, you give them a badge and you give them a gun, and already they're doing stupid stuff.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, it was Grant, who said getting rid of him now saves us a whole bunch of money later on down the line. That's for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah, there it is right there. That's the truth, though. But they could have done something. These are felons, and it doesn't look good. But Mike, why is the sheriff's department so? These stories are coming out in the news. Where's Luna?
Well, you know what? I mean, I'm not trying to be funny here. I think a lot of it, things that are going on with the department right now, can be attributed to the freaking overall burnout that everybody is suffering from, and their dissatisfaction. And when you're as tired as a lot of these kids are, it's almost like you're drunk. I'm not saying any of these are related to that, but tensions are high on the department right now. And have they let the hiring process slip a little bit? God, maybe, I don't know. It's a conundrum.
Have you guys heard about that story out of Harris County, Texas? The sheriff's department, they had 4 suicides within a very short time. And I don't know anything about what happened there, but that's a really terrible thing to happen. And the LA County sheriffs are going through the same thing last year.
Well, I think we've had a dozen of them just since this current administration's been in office, and that, I believe, is a national record. And it's you just look at what's going on. I mean, it's a mess right now, and I'm not so sure this administration can fix that mess, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Anything new with
Kevin? Wait a minute, Kevin's shaking his head no. Does that mean you agree with me?
I agree with you. It's kind of that statement that I'm in agreement with. No, if I disagree, I'll politely let you know.
I was like, cut that guy's feed right now.
Oh, we lost
How
Kevin.
Dare you? Oh, wait. Oh, he's okay now. Yeah, but I just, this administration can't get out of its own way, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better, and I don't think they've got the juice to make it right.
Well, Dave, speak. Tell us what your other thoughts are.
Dave, what are your other thoughts?
Because Dave is he's usually a wallflower, Mike.
Yeah, well, oh yeah, right.
He doesn't talk.
Are they, Dave? Are they thoughts that we can share online, or are they thoughts that you need to give to your?
He's just
psychiatrist or something.
He's pulling our chain on that one. I'm not going to talk about it.
So. Yeah, give it your thoughts, brother. It's okay.
What is?
Oh yeah, you know what? A lot of that DOJ mess that you're talking about, Greg, I think that's a self-inflicted wound with the DOJ. The old DOJ, and I hope the new DOJ does some correcting.
What is that about?
Yeah, it's about the crap that's been going on with the sheriff's department. And we're talking about Trevor Kirk and everything else that's been going on. That kid that we talked to from Antioch the other night. Mm-hmm. Remember that memorandum thing I read about that article where the DOJ was specifically going after agencies to try to slap them up so they could scare other agencies into doing what they wanted them to do. And it's a sad time, man. They're treating cops like liabilities instead of social assets, and it's disturbing.
What happened to? There was some rumblings about DOJ going in, and were they doing a consent decree, or they had this big list you brought up with LASD?
Oh yeah, it's either a settlement agreement that they're working on or a consent decree. I think they're virtually the same thing, but they were apparently secretly working with the sheriff's department and their attorneys, and they were just going to shove all this stuff down the throat of the department. Thanks, P-Dog. And they got caught doing it. And some of the things they were doing, it was just outrageously. It's that thing where you kill a flea with a mallet kind of thing is what they're trying to do. Micromanaging, helicopter parenting, or whatever you want to call it, to make the department, just feel like that they're a bunch of potential criminals who are going to go off any minute and destroy the county of Los Angeles unless these attorneys step in and save everything. And the attorneys who haven't spent one day in a radio car or one day, on the street, then they're going to be telling everybody how to do their job.
I heard this yesterday. Is Luna suing the board of supervisors?
And here's here's the thing. Not the board of supervisors, the Civilian Oversight Commission. The commission is using their subpoena power to try to get information on confidential administrative investigations. And based on what I can see, it looks like they probably are allowed access to the stuff, but it's not Bunker Bob there that's making that decision. County council told him to fight it. So, they're fighting it. He's fighting it because county council told him to. And he comes out with a caveat. We're not doing it to make anybody mad, but we're just trying to, it's like he's not real definitive about anything. But they're questioning whether or not the COC has access to the administrative files, and there are files that it's going to be sorted out in court. I have no clue. But that's what it's all about. He hasn't changed. The leopard has not changed its spots. I mean, he's doing it at the behest of the county council.
You're saying that Luna is not flexing his muscles like a big boy?
Mm-mm. No.
How much extra chocolate cake would he get if he did that, though?
Probably an entire cake for himself. But,
entire cake if you flex your muscles.
What is it? Hey, Dave, buzz off, man. We need those deputies, man.
Hey, Dave, buzz off.
Don't be pulling that.
Kevin, is there anything you want to disagree with Mike about up to this point?
No, I agree with him. I was just thinking about the I'm not shy to disagree with either one of you.
Man.
You can't disagree with me because I do the buttons. So.
Well, you could just make me disappear. But.
Right.
No, I was just thinking about the Department of Justice and how they work their way in, and these various, and a memory of them coming through and going through our weapons under the idea, I guess, that the deputies in jail were going to steal weapons and then use them on inmates. And we got inspected every month. They counted everything in every box in every armory, and it was ridiculous. I mean, literally sitting on the floor in his suit, counting how many 40 millimeter projectiles, how many exact impact versus stinger versus it's childish, and you can never get out from under them because you're getting so close, and then they'll find a flaw and you start all over again.
It's a settlement agreement industrial complex. It's exactly what it is.
It's pretty bad. And so
they never want you to win because they lose a paycheck if you win.
Well, what was interesting is all the attorneys that were coming to Twin Towers, and this goes back, 2018, something like that. All the attorneys that were coming to Twin Towers were coming from the east part of the country. And so I asked them about that. Who goes to the departments on the east side? Is it the attorneys on the west? And they kind of laughed, but I was left thinking it's probably true. That they perhaps get little vacations out of it. And I don't know. It was just kind of interesting. It's a very interesting group of people.
Well, isn't that how we deal with oranges, right? Florida sends theirs to California. California sends ours to Florida.
Yep.
It's the same thing. It's like a bunch of attorneys. It's like a crate of oranges.
True.
Hey, GJ, I don't know where you put a link. It's not in the chat. But I do want to know about this because is this something new? Bondi said they dropped all actions against law enforcement agencies that are instituted under Biden. Because we would hear about that, wouldn't we?
Well, yeah, I that same article I read you last week about that. It didn't mention Bondi saying that, but they were crying about the fact that the new DOJ has said that they're going to discontinue all of this chasing cops around, and they're not going to be actively pursuing law enforcement like they've been doing under Obama and Biden. So that's a good thing. I think that law enforcement needs a rest, and I think they need to be left to do their jobs for a while and quit effing with them all the time. I'm trying to keep you so you can, monetize this. So I'm saying effing.
I don't know where the link you sent me is. So
it's probably at the bottom of a bottle.
I see it now. I don't think they do, but don't think they get blocked in the chat. I don't know, but yeah, if you have any information on that, let me know, because we're still always monitoring the Trevor Kirk situation, and I'm hoping that gets resolved pretty quick here, and he doesn't have to worry about that. I got a story that came out today, and I want to get everybody's opinion about it, because Mike has an opinion and Kevin has an opinion. But what do you guys think about? Does this mean anything? Hochman revives the death penalty, allowing for rare consideration in extreme cases. What does that even mean? But do you think? I mean, it doesn't mean anything in California, right? But the fact that wouldn't this been cool if he was DA at the time Click got killed, and he stood up in front of the family and said, "Yeah, do this."
Yeah, I don't know if that might be possible. They probably still can add special circumstances, since it is special circumstances. We'll see if he has any push behind what he's saying here. I don't know what this is all about, because I think all death penalty cases are egregious sets of circumstances, right? I mean, they've narrowed it down so much that only the most egregious are the ones who get filed. So maybe they will. And, who cares if there's a moratorium in California right now? There isn't always going to be one. So set those suckers up, and, let's get some convictions for these cases.
Makes me wonder who chose the wording on this. Is it Fox 11 or is it Hochman? Because it's almost like a double negative, allowing for rare consideration in extreme cases. It's just, why bother? I believe in the death penalty. I don't mean to imply I don't. I just, that's such a strange way of putting it out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, he probably had one of his folks write it for him.
Well, the second bullet point says, he said the death penalty will be considered only the most egregious set of circumstances. And I'm like, if somebody murders somebody, that's pretty egregious.
Yep. Well,
so is there like more
egregious,
worser murder?
Well, a bigger murderer. Well, look at Klinkenbrummer's case. Murdering a peace officer in the performance of his duties is a death penalty case. Period.
Yep.
Right. So, maybe they'll come back with it. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that the case where you're talking about Klinkenbrummer, is that Ryan?
Yeah, Ryan.
Yes.
Klinkenbrummer.
I think that case is still, I don't even think it's gone to court yet. So they could refile charges and stuff, couldn't they?
Well, I don't know if they'd refile, but they could add charge, I'm sure. Let's see what happens. It says Luna didn't press for it. That's because Luna was in the pocket of Gascon. Gascon's gone, and maybe Luna's going to see the light a little bit. I kind of doubt it. The dude won't make decisions. I think he's just going to sit there quietly and, pull his fork out and start eating some cake and just wait and see what happens. And if Hochman files it, I'm sure Luna will go, "Yeah, good job." But he's not going to make any decisions.
No.
I don't think you have too much faith in him for some reason. I don't think you like
Luna.
No,
I don't dislike him. I just don't think that he's the man for the job. I really don't. I think he probably knows that too.
Yeah. And that we're going through these stories pretty quick here. The city of Los Angeles is they need $1 billion to close the budget gap, and they're talking about laying off not dozens or hundreds of city employees, but thousands of city employees. And then today, that was like 2 days ago. Then today, Mayor Bass goes to Sacramento and says, "Can I have $2 billion? Because we have a budget deficit."
That's like Mr. Toad goes to Washington, right? I mean, she's going to go up there. Now, get this. This is classic political thinking. We're $1 billion short, so let's go ask for $2 billion. Right? And they're going to go up and ask the guy that his coffer is bare, and Gavin is asking the Fed. In fact, he's going. That Mr. Toad's going to Washington to ask the government for more federal money. So basically, she's asking for him to just pile on more for her. I mean, this is something I think that's been going on for a long time. The mismanagement of the city funding, with these short-term solutions. I remember one year, it might have been last year or the year before, They actually took a whole bunch of vacant city items and just vacated them. They canceled them, and then they took that salary savings and said, "Oh, look, we came up with money." And it's like, well, yeah, but you cut your ability to hire the people that are doing the job. So what? We'll worry about that next year. And it's the chickens are coming home to roost.
If you read the article somewhere in there, it says that part of the reason they're projecting the shortfall is looking to the federal government. They see differences with federal trade and immigration policies. So there's nothing even definitive with that. Yeah, they don't like the current federal administration. And you start looking, there's a pretty good website for the city of LA that shows their budget and how much they're pulling in and from where and where it allegedly is going. It's a fairly simple process of looking at it. And I don't know, again, how accurate it is, but it's huge money. And the homeless stuff is just under $1 billion for this particular year. Last year was 1.3 billion. It doesn't pass the stink test. This is not a big problem, I don't think, other than what's been created with the fires and that type of thing and overtime. And, there may be something there.
Well, but a lot of that's going to be reimbursed by the Fed anyway, emergency management kind of funding. I think you're right, Kevin, in that I'm agreeing with you. That they're so paranoid about what might happen with the federal government that they're projecting it onto their budget and saying, "Oh, with Trump in office, we're going to lose $1 billion, so we're going to ask for $2 billion." And who knows what the real deficit's going to be.
Well, Dave Alsace brought up a real good news story that I was gonna talk about as well with regard to this, and this is about the parking tickets in the city of Los Angeles. So, in the fiscal year that ended in June 2024, after giving out 2 million parking tickets, the city collected about $110 million, $110 million in parking fines. Meanwhile, they were spending $88 million on parking enforcement expenses like salaries and equipment. But when the cost of pensions and other obligations and liabilities were added to the mix, the figure jumped to more than $176 million in liability, and they were only bringing in $110 million, meaning that they were $65 million in the hole after giving out 2 million tickets.
So, wasn't there something a couple of years ago where the city was giving people some kind of amnesty for parking tickets if they came in and claimed like they were poor and they couldn't pay them or something like that? There was something going on where they were giving a whole bunch of people amnesty for tickets. And well, that's probably another one of those things. It was a feel-good thing at the time, but now it comes back and bites them.
I remember that too. Yes.
It's accurate. Are you agreeing with me?
I am. You are correct.
Right. All right.
What is going on here?
What?
Hey, this is interesting. I'm out of stories except for that last one we got coming up here.
Well, let's pause for a long moment and talk about something else. Doesn't anybody have any questions out there? GJ's being kind of quiet. Passe's being kind of quiet. Dave is flapping his lips. He's okay. But
here's Dave. Oh my gosh, Dave is killing us, man.
Well, you know what? He's right.
Agreed.
Sometimes sometimes there's not a lot going on, right?
Yeah. Well, we had a real busy week last week, and I'm sure there were stories, but sometimes it's like, what do you do? Sometimes you just want to chat. Remember, the whole concept of this show initially was we're just going to get together and talk smack about everyone and everything that we can think of. Remember?
About Kevin.
Well, we were going to talk smack.
That's why I'm here.
It's relatively awkward with him sitting here, though, now, right? We have to turn around so we can talk about you behind your back.
How did you find us anyways, Kevin? Because you popped in and you were everybody's friend and we love you.
I found your podcast, The Police Applicant, and I watched a couple of them. And then it referred me to the one with you guys and Cece, and I started watching that one, and I just sort of stuck with it, enjoyed it.
See, Mike, he enjoys us.
Man, you can't argue with that. Now, I know you wanted to throw one article up. I guess we can talk about that I kind of nixed because I really wasn't up on it.
Oh, now I
It's
gotta
it's
gotta
actually
take that one.
mentioning CC. It's a CC article, so if I have to, I can refer to that. It's about about 6 weeks ago we had CAD system go down, and that was relatively awkward and dangerous for our people because it left them blind in the street, right? Unable to communicate and unable to run plates or run people, and
Oh yeah.
pretty bad news. Well, a couple days ago, I'm stalling to see if you can get it up. Do you have the ability to put the story up or no?
CC's
Yeah, yeah.
article. Oh, hang on. Keep
Yeah.
talking. You got to bring it up now.
Anyway, I was gonna bring it up. I don't want to hit the point until you get to it, but I will if I have to. Anyways, CAD went down, and most recently, a couple of days ago, we started hearing rumblings that stations weren't getting any calls coming in, and they found out that the 911 system, I guess it's attached to the Vesta system, had failed. And the stations, my understanding is it was countywide. There you go. Weren't getting 911 calls in. It's that old thing of, the ads they used to do. What if you call 911 and nobody answers? Well, apparently that happened.
Again.
It wasn't down for an incredibly long amount of time, but it was down long enough for people to recognize that there was an issue, and they finally got it back up. But the bigger part of that story was normally when something like that happens, it's relatively significant and it goes in the department daily log. Well, it didn't show up in the department daily log, so people were wondering, did that really happen or not? And about 8 hours after CC did a story, and then I think Channel 5 did a story on it, the sheriff's department finally put out a Nixle alert that says, oh, by the way, 911 was down. Now, that's actually pretty scandalous if they were trying to make it look like it didn't happen. And the only reason that they reported it was because they got called on for it. But it's just another sign of a department in crisis.
Yeah. Got a couple of questions for Kevin. Kevin Passe wants to know about the restraint device you came up with.
See, I'm not sure what he's referring to exactly. I let him fill that in a little bit more.
Passe, fill that shit in.
Yeah. Are we talking about the time? Was it after you invented the internet, Kevin, or before?
Yeah. And I see Zippy asked a question too. There you go.
I'm so way ahead of you, Mike.
I got to take care of Zippy, man. So that's all.
I did.
I Twin
Yeah.
Towers.
So when I promoted and went to Access to Care Bureau, the offices are on the 8th floor, and so yeah, I had an office up there the last year and a half.
Right. Where did Access to Care go? Over down where EBI was, or closer to headquarters?
You mean after? Well, let me think about it. They were in where MSB had been, the Medical Services Bureau. They took over that space. So if you came off the elevator and made a right, they were kind of right there.
Okay. So my question would be, why would the Sheriff's Department do Access to Care, and why wouldn't that go to Medical Services Bureau?
It's a good question. I didn't understand it either. But what they ended up, I guess my answer would be they found some way of getting into federal and state funding. What they ended up doing was claiming that the clinics and all the jails, all the medical clinics, which then went on to, I believe, IRC as well, the 13th floor at LCMC, or whatever floor it is now, they grabbed all of that stuff and took that as Access to Care. So it was a grab, and all I can say is they must have found funding for it.
Well, I would. Well, if I was in charge, I would unfund that, and I would stick it back with MSB, because it makes sense to me. If you're they make a big deal about, we're the medical ones over here, and we're supposed to do all the medical stuff. Okay, here's Access to Care, it's yours. I mean, why would we have it? I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense to spend that much county time and money and personnel on that.
Well, and just tracking training issues. If there's something in a clinic at NCCF, I'm the training guy. I'm in downtown Los Angeles. There's training staff that's in his facility, but he's not part of that facility. He's part of ours. It made it difficult, unnecessarily so. But as deputies will do, we worked with each other and we made it work.
You make it work. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what deputies do. Dave brought up a good point there. I hate to bring Dave up because he is a shrinking violet wallflower kind of guy, but
Dave Elsas came with a good comment.
man, Zippy's asked another question, but Jesus,
You know, that's
Zip, you're getting a little too. Whoa, did you give inmates hormones, Kevin?
Well, since she said you, I'm going to say no. I didn't, but that's actually a really good question. And that was sort of in flux when I left. That was being sort of, I wouldn't be surprised if they are.
Are you talking about sex change hormone stuff?
That's what I'm referring to.
Oh, but you know what? I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh,
dang. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways,
what's this?
Well, the pay rate, it's the same thing I think that LAPD is getting, and that's the middle finger from their politicians and their negotiators, because I guess the sheriff's department is in negotiations right now with the ALADS, the deputies union, and they're already being told, don't expect squat. You're going to get 0% raise, no additions, no better this, better that, zip, zilch, nine, nada. And I guess they're blaming it on the fires and the unexpected, unknown expenses that are going to come out of that. And obviously, it's the same thing that LAPD has going on right now, right? I think they're even talking about takeaways with them.
I don't know if the league would.
Well, they won't, that. But I think both the county and the city are taking this hardball position of nothing, and you're gonna have to fight for anything you get.
I think the city had agreed to some sort of raises. They've now, I think the quote was, hit pause on that. So they had a date coming that the raise would kick in, and I think they quote paused it. So, I don't know. I wouldn't hold my breath at this point.
Yeah, it's a tough state of affairs right now, and I lay a lot of that at the budget negligence of the city and county politicians who spend so much money on homeless outreach and drug this, alcohol that, mental health this and that, and there's things that need to be tended to. I understand that. I agree with that. But when they're spending like $1 billion on the homeless, I guarantee you that the call went out on the homeless hotline. Hey, everybody, come to California, come to LA. They'll give you a whole bunch of free shit. And, it's just, they're digging a hole deeper and deeper every time they do something.
I read part of the LA City problem is not a problem for me, but they have to give $200 million to the LAPD pension fund, or the pension funds that they owe. So that's a big chunk of money there. Another thing is that only one anxious one had a good question. Did anybody get a Social Security back pay check as a result of the windfall provision? I did. I got a big chunky check from the Social Security Administration going back to January 2024.
Nice.
Wow.
And they back paid me. So, and then my Social Security that I get doubled because they did away with that. And so I'm getting the money I put in. Juno is saying something very profound. I'm sorry, what?
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Go ahead. Go to Juno.
That was a millisecond. Look at that, Kevin. We are your future. We are your future.
Who's Kevin?
It was a millisecond.
Oh, yeah.
But Burton's here.
Hey, Bert.
Burton is here.
There you go, Bert.
You know what's funny is that these things like the homeless and all that kind of stuff is a lot of this money is just missing.
Yeah. Or they built. Remember they built some apartments, and they spent like $300 bazillion on it, and they got like 4 people in the rooms, and it's just like, who's in charge of this madness? But again, it's going to be the homeless industrial complex.
Yep.
They want homeless. They want more and more homeless because that keeps them all into money.
Well, I'm sure it works just like the stuff we're watching Doge doing now on a federal level. It went to
exactly.
NGOs and all of that stuff, and it went back into the pockets that sent it. And it's a shame, and it's not transparent, and That's funny. You look at that site I was talking about with the city of LA, where you can see how much money they're getting from various permits, and I didn't look into the parking. That's pretty funny about the parking. But you look into some of that stuff, the money is tremendous. 9.5% sales tax. And I don't know how much the county gets, how much the city gets, but that's pretty good. That's a lot of money. And they just don't manage it well. They don't care. It's not their money. And it's too bad.
Yeah, it's that old
No,
Margaret
that's
Thatcher
low.
thing, right? Eventually, they're going to run out of everybody else's money,
Yeah.
and that's what's happening. And I think, and if you think about it on a grander scale, they probably are panicking because of Doge, because all that's going to trickle down to the cities and the counties and the states, because all of a sudden this free pot of honey money is going to disappear.
Yep.
As well it should.
Yep.
Yeah.
So do you guys? I'm gonna ask you guys to make a prediction here. Do you think Bass and Luna will get reelected?
I've got my opinion. Kevin, let's hear your opinion. See if I agree or disagree with you.
I don't I don't think Bass has a chance. There's no way. There's just no way. At Luna, I think the electorate's kind of asleep enough. He's the name they recognize. I could see them just checking the box. I hope not, but
Well, you were doing okay until right now, but I can't help but agree with Bass. I think that she just comes across as completely out of touch. She just has not been able to read the room. The second she stepped on that plane to take that drinking trip to Ghana, I think she was a goner, because her excuse is, how could that fire chief let me get on the plane and fly away? It's like, well, they told you, they warned you, you knew it was coming, but you thought you wanted to go over there and get some of that Ghana liquor. And it's too late for her. You see how she deflected when she got back, right? Oh, I don't want to talk about that right now. We'll worry about that later. We'll hold people accountable. Well, go look in the mirror, Karen. I think she's done. I don't see how she recovers. I know that people were talking about a recall for her, and Rick Caruso actually said something intelligent. He's a good guy, and he's like, you know what? I think it's counterproductive. Why bother spending all the time and money and effort to recall her when her term's up next year? By the time you get everything pushed through, I think she's toast. As far as Luna goes, I think if you get the right person to run against him, I think he'd be in trouble.
Yeah, leaked audio. I heard that leaked audio. That was about 3 weeks ago or something. But I think there may be some validity to this here. I heard a rumor Sheriff Luna wants to start his own chocolate cake business and quit law enforcement.
Yeah.
But he would eat all the profits.
Here's what I would say about the folks, including our cohort here, who thinks that Luna's a good guy and he's going to win. I think that we're starting to see a paradigm shift here, and I think we're seeing the pendulum swinging from left to center. The state passage of Prop 36 gave me hope. And then the electorate throwing Gascon out of office. What'd he get? 20% or less of the vote. And Luna is tied to his hip. They are lifelong, career-long BFF dudes. And I'm very hopeful that that people are awake enough to say that, you know what, we're tired of the follow home robberies. We're tired of the mismanagement. We're tired of the scenes from The Walking Dead on every street in LA. Grandma can't go to the store. Kids can't go to the park. You can't go out for an evening somewhere without somebody coming over and ripping the chain or a watch off your arm with like no repercussions. The thing about where the locusts go into big name stores and strip the walls bare and run off with everything. There is a culture of criminality going on right now. I think people are seeing it. People are waking up to it. And I've got some friends who are pretty liberal. Left of center and liberal. They're left of.
That was hard.
We get along, they're left of center kind of folks. And they're like, you know what? All of our friends are like, they're done. They're done with the Democratic rule. Not just Democrats, but the progressive lefty wokey, the criminals are actually the victims kind of thing. So we'll
What?
see. I think that there's going to be a lot of people running against him, and somebody might resonate with them.
Yeah, who's that?
Who's that? Well, I
Who's
know there's
that?
at least one department member. I'm not going to give him any free props here, but I'm not. Yeah, I'm not thinking he's going to have the gravitas to be able to pull it off.
I hope you're right. I
Grant.
hope that you're right about the pendulum starting to swing back, Mike.
Oh yeah.
I also agree with Prop 36. That's great news. But if I'm not even in California anymore. But if the cops out there decide to start arresting people based on these changes that Prop 36 allows, like bringing 666 back and all that stuff,
Mhm.
where you put them? CJ's pretty well full. The Board of Supervisors still kind of sold on the idea of tearing it down and not replacing it. And I guess that pendulum would pull that along as well. And
Well,
that would be nice.
yeah, Hilda Solis is the only one that really wants to tear it down without a replacement. And to Hockman's credit, he went before them last week and said, no offense, but that's a really stupid idea.
Yeah.
Because Central Jail is where high power's at. And it's where you've got the worst of the worst, the people that will chop off your head and eat Cheerios out of your skull if you let them alone. He said 1,000 beds like that, but yeah, I remember CJ used to have, oh my God, 8,000-10,000 people packed in there like sardines.
Yep.
It's an old linear jail. It's got to go. I agree with that, but you need a replacement first. And this current dude who's allegedly the honcho at the sheriff's department is like, oh, we want to have a care campus. We want to have care. Well, you know what? No, I'm sorry, it's a jail. If you want to make it a touchy-feely kind of place, and you do need a place. There are a lot of people that are drug-addled and mentally ill. I mean, you got to put them somewhere, and that would be the place to do it. But that place also has to have high power capability, lockdown shoe capability, right?
Yep. Agreed.
There aren't any shoes in the county that are really capable of handling all those guys that are in there, the murderous thugs. That there are people that you can, here you go. There are people that they can recover. You can help them and straighten out their lives and everything. But there are people that they're thugs. They were thugs when they were 8 years old. They were robbers and burglars and just little gangsters. They need hard cell lockdown, and CJ is the place to do that. I would knock that dump down, frankly, because it's an old, like I said, linear jail, which is, from the 1800s, and it's probably when it was built. I think when I came on, it was 1850, but it's got to go, and put a better place in that can treat people medically and psychologically and all that. But it's a jail. It's not a care campus. You can call it whatever you want, but it's got to have lockdown ability.
Absolutely. But that's also the solution to the homeless problem. It's like the broken windows theory. You got to go back and carrot in the stick and go through and start actually enforcing basic rule of law on these encampments. And again, it goes back where you're going to put them. But I think that's the solution to coming out of this stuff. But that's a pretty good pendulum swing.
Well, and you know what? I always talk about Mira Loma. Mira Loma has been mothballed for years. Open that place up, refurb it. And I think it holds about 1,200 people comfortably, if you're going to call it that. It's a barrack-style place. I would rather have it as like a training jail where people can get certification in, skills where they can actually make money, like, carpentry, electrical, plumbing, window installation, HVAC repair. I don't care. Stuff where a company can come in and give them certification and get them job placement on the way out. I mean, that's a win-win-win, baby.
Yep, agreed.
But right now, all we do is we warehouse them, we throw them in a shoebox, and we stick them on a wall somewhere, and all they do is get stupider. You're not helping anything. So stupider is.
Grant brought up something a minute ago. If you want a good laugh, watch the public comment section at the LA City Council meetings. And I think it was yesterday or the day before, LA City Council passed this rule that if you go to the council meeting and you speak at the council meeting, you cannot say the C word or the N word anymore because they'll kick you out. And I'm wondering how long they let that go on when it's completely unacceptable in the first place. But free speech.
Greg, let's see. I left CJ in September of '81. I don't know what you're talking about there. I have no idea what he's talking about. But yeah.
Was he in jail and you were like in there too?
Oh yeah, we were cellies. I don't really.
He was arrested?
No, it says during his 5 shift he probably did 5 shifts there as a reserve or something. Yeah.
5 shifts. My gosh.
Right.
What a vet.
40 hours, baby, and he's done. Man, I did a year and a half in that place. That was more than enough. But I'll tell you what though, going from the academy to custody is a good thing for about a year and a half or so, because it teaches you how to deal with crooks one-on-one. Nobody's armed. You relatively have pretty good backup around, and you get to see how they think and what they do. And man, they will scam the daylights out of you if you aren't ready for it. So that's true. It's a good thing. But there was a period of time when deputies were in there not wanting to be there, like 6, 7, 8 freaking years in custody.
Or longer if you want to go to industry or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wanted to go to FPK, so I got out pretty quick. But in fact, I got out not legitimately because they put me on a bilingual list accidentally, and I didn't tell them, So
they'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out, right? They're going to ask for back pay or something. But yeah, I mean, if back then it was like if you wanted to go to Santa Clarita or Carson, some of those stations, man, forget it. You're going to be in there a long time. So, it's that's too long. And that's why I kind of halfway agree with the custody track, where people want to be custody. They want to be jailers for their entire careers. They can let them go there. But I also disagree with it in that they're not well-rounded cops.
Right.
They probably shouldn't be deputies. I mean, sadly, I would probably make them all custody assistants if they want to do that and make the deputies go to patrol.
I don't know what this means.
He was 1,100 to industry when he got in there, and it took him 7 years to get the number down from 1,100 to 1.
Oh my!
Yeah, and that's pretty standard right there.
Yeah, no fun. We got a story that Mike wanted to share, and we got a video. So get your notes out, because we're gonna show video, right, Mike?
Huh? Yeah.
It's one of the largest local law enforcement agencies in the U.S., but these days the department is facing what the sheriff calls a staffing crisis.
There's concern the shortage of deputies is leading to longer response times. In a 7 on Your Side investigation, reporter Kevin Ozebek is here now with what the department is doing about it. Kevin.
Yeah, so Mark and Ellen, let's just start off with the numbers right here. Right now, there are nearly 1,500 LA County deputy positions that are not filled. And when you take that and combine it with all the deputies who are out for reasons like medical leave, paternity time, or military duty, 23% of deputy positions are not available. But the sheriff tells us he is doing everything he can to try to turn this around.
Whether chasing a suspect down a street, gearing up for a SWAT standoff, or flying over the county looking for crime. Being an LA County Sheriff's deputy has never been easy, but deputies say the job is getting harder.
Deputies are getting severely burnt out.
Deputy Christopher Chung leads a team of patrol deputies that should be 23 strong, but right now he has just 12 deputies.
That means we have to fulfill our obligations with a lot of overtime.
Deputy Jorge Calvillo says he now sometimes works back-to-back doubles to make sure 911 calls are answered. Not only is that costing you, the taxpayer, more in time and a half pay, but Jorge says it takes a toll on him too.
Physically, mentally, what does that do to you?
It drains you. Who does their best decision making? Makes their best decisions when you're exhausted and you've just worked 16 hours back-to-back days.
Richard Pippin is president of the Deputies Union.
Our response times are up across the county. The workforce is tired.
This report the Sheriff's Department sent to the Board of Supervisors in September of last year shows response times for high priority emergency calls across the county from 2018 through 2023 ticked up by an average of 0.64 minutes, which is 38 seconds. The report also says increasing vacancies since 2020 could be contributing to the increased response times.
It's a staffing crisis. There's no way around that terminology.
It's a crisis Sheriff Robert Luna inherited, but a crisis he tells us he wants to fix. He says he's brought in a marketing firm to help recruit people into the crime-fighting profession. Police work has become politicized. The sheriff hopes this helps reverse that.
We're consistently trying to think out of the box, and we will continue to do
Out
that
of
to
the
make sure
box.
we're hiring the best people to serve our community.
And deputies are rooting for their sheriff too. LA will be hosting the
What?
Olympic
No, they're not.
Games in just 4 very short years.
We have huge worldwide events that are looming in the near future, and we simply do not have the staffing for it.
But it's not just the Sheriff's Department that's struggling with staffing. Check out these numbers. There's just over 117,000 county jobs. So that includes not just deputies, but firefighters and county civil servants of all types. Right now, more than 13,000 of those jobs, again, 13,000 of those jobs, Mark and Ellen, are not filled. So clearly there is an issue recruiting in some of these government jobs.
And so the sheriff trying to recruit more cadets into the department, does he think that that alone will do the trick?
Well, he did also tell us he wants to see his deputies get paid more. And right now, the union for those deputies is in negotiations with the county. But guys, just a few weeks ago, the county chief executive did warn we're under some tight financial times, especially after these fires. So we'll wait to see what happens.
So no.
Absolutely incredible. You know,
Go ahead.
well, no, Kevin, I always flap my lips. Go ahead, go first.
I just, generally speaking, officers, deputies, law enforcement, we are, well, not us, the three of us, but the ones that are out there working, they're the best recruiters, whether they do it on purpose or not. If you're out there and you look the part, you like your job, the people that you run into, even on your own time, they get to know you, they look up to that. We've lost that. People don't enjoy their jobs anymore for the most part. I mean, I'm sure there are some, but generally speaking, they don't. And I mentioned this in a comment on one of the earlier shows. How many cops want their kids to be cops? You know, I certainly don't. And one of mine is leaning that way, and I'm doing everything I can to pull them backwards. But, you know, I don't encourage my kids to do that. And I don't know many that would. And so I think that's a big part of it. Hiring somebody to go out there and put advertising up, and that's just ridiculous.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
You know,
Hey, Trevor. I'm
no,
sorry.
hey, Trevor, glad you're here, brother.
Yeah, and I think if anybody knows about sheriffs talking out of the side of his
Yep.
mouth, would be
Yeah,
Trevor.
absolutely.
Stay strong, dude.
So,
You know, a couple of things I'll bring up. One of them is they made a good point about there's almost 1,500 deputy vacancies, but there's 23% total that are unavailable. Well, you know, a lot of those are going to be the IODs and, leave, things like that. I can tell you right now that there are people out there, IOD, who are sitting around saying, I ain't going back to that place sooner than I have to. They're going to be out longer than they need to be because they don't want to put up with the bull crap that's going on at the department. And now, people keep texting me trying to get into my razzmatazz. Okay. Anyways, hi guys, I see you. But it's the where was I? Oh yeah, 38 seconds. I was looking for the squirrel. 38 seconds. All right, that's what they're saying. Priority calls have gone up over the last year or so. That was Rich Pippin talking there about from ALADS. Okay, let's just say that you're sitting at home or your wife's sitting at home by herself, and somebody starts kicking in the door, and they're going to kick ass and murder people, and you call. How valuable is that extra 38 seconds to you? Let's say somebody's being held at gunpoint, somebody's doing an armed robbery, somebody's trying to jack your car. How valuable is that extra 38 seconds it's taken to get there? And it's taken that long to get there because the department is so short. You've got people working back to back to back doubles. You're working below the authorized vacancy factor at your station. Like if you're supposed to have 6 cars, they're working with 4, 3.5 cars. They're going below TO just so they can field the shift. I understand. Was it yesterday? I think Lancaster needed help, and they had a radio car rolling code from Malibu.
Oh,
That is a 2.5-hour drive. Now, maybe that, since they're rolling code, they can make it a 2-hour drive. Hold on, brother, we'll be there in 2 hours. I'm out of ammo. I'm tired. Well, it's okay. We got an hour and 50 minutes. We'll be there soon. I mean, what kind of madness is going on there? And that's why I'm not a big fan of outside other things that the department has bought into, like the Metro contract. Man, that's 200 sworn bodies we could use right there. Community colleges, there's more bodies we can use there. I think that the department needs to get back to basics so they can fulfill the function that we're all sworn to do, and that's to protect the public and keep them safe. And you can't do that right now. And it's mindless. And the other thing about the guy that is allegedly the sheriff right now, he goes, I said this last week, this is my top priority. And then somebody will say, well, what about this going on over here? Oh, well, that's my top priority. He's got all these top priorities, but he doesn't do jack shit about them. Oh, jack S about them. I think he is literally over his head. And, he had, maybe it was that Lancaster meeting I heard it about, but one of them was, he was talking about how, well, I'd been here for like 6 months or whatever. And after I finally started understanding custody, and it's like, what? You're sheriff of LA County and you don't understand one of the main functions of the sheriff's department? And it's like, it's like that OJT, but he doesn't have the luxury of OJ2 when you're running the largest sheriff's department in the country. But I guess he thinks it's okay.
Well, the jails are what define the sheriff's department. I mean, that's what makes them separate.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. God, Mike, sometimes you sound so smart.
Actually, Zippy's in my ear saying, okay, say this, say that. Say this, say that.
Oh, your producer.
Try to look smart. Put your hand to your mouth. So I'll go like this and see, she'll start talking for me and it looks like I'm doing the talking, right?
Yeah. Well, just go like this every once in a while. Yeah, I want to say this.
What's that, babe? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right.
So they're saying that the sheriffs are taking 38 seconds longer to respond to calls?
Mm-hmm.
Is that? I mean, 38 seconds doesn't seem like a big deal because my food microwaves for a minute, and I'm like, come on.
Well, like I said, I mean, if you're the one at the other end of that 911 line, it's like 38 frickin' seconds more. Like, I think it's, well, if it's gone up, 0.64 of a minute, let's just say a regular routine call for service, they want you there in 30 seconds. Well, now it's like over a minute. And there's a reason why they have those limits, because people are on the other line and they're desperate and they need to be saved or safe. And we can't do that. It's not the cops' fault. The deputies on the street, LAPD, they're all doing the job they can do with what they have. They've got radio cars with a bazillion miles on them that they're driving around. I've talked about the fleet before, the bus fleet, where they've got, 10% of the fleet up and running. The CAD system's going down, 911's going down. People are dropping like flies. They're retiring early. They're lateraling out. They're just saying, screw this, and they're leaving, going to where Dave Elsas works, apparently, trying to get a job there. And it's just there, Dave. I did your recruiting for you, Dave. That's all you get. But, God bless the deputies, man. They stick around. They've stuck it through. But it's just, Dale's right. 38 seconds is the average. It's going to be higher in a lot of calls, right? That's how you get an average. But, if you're already out in Palmdale, Lancaster, living out in the middle of snake shit Lancaster somewhere, on a side road, man, it takes a long time to get help out there. And it's going to take longer now.
Yeah. I wonder how many people they can pull out of admin too, whether custody or wherever. And I don't mean carping 1 day a week. And then I'm not talking about that, but actually move them. Are all those positions really necessary?
No, well, the trouble is too, Kevin, I'm sure you know that a lot of them are out of hide, right?
Yeah.
Like that kid that was talking about his group of 23s down to 12, I would want to know if those are funded items, for one. We had
Yeah.
a lot of, especially custody, they'll take the really good kids that are like CAs or newbies coming in, and they'll pull them out of their funded spots and say, you go here and do this, you go do that, you go do this. It's out of hide, and it's like, okay, you know what? No more. And I would also, I would expect, I would like to have more CAs, a percentage of CAs higher in custody than deputies. It's that ALADS thing where
Yeah. I was
they're
about to
trying
point
to,
that out. Yeah.
they're trying to get a balance. And I understand that, because it is a safety issue, but there's some custody assistants who've been doing a great job in there for like 20 years. Give them a path, make them two stripers, make them a CA sergeant. I don't care, but get those sworn items out in the street.
As many as you can. I think that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I think you'd make the deputies happier overall too, because there are a lot of people stuck in custody that don't want to be there.
Yeah, that I was talking about that earlier, and if you get everybody in custody on a custody track and they've never been to patrol, what happens when you've got that Rodney King street riot and you got two buses with 100 deputies that have never been to the street, don't know the pointy end of the gun, it's like, okay, we're going to send you down to 103rd in Vermont. You need to do your thing. And then it'll be a bloodbath. It won't work, and that's, that's why I say the custody track is a good thing and a bad thing. If I was in custody and I wanted out, I would thank God every day for those custody track people. But is that what's best for the department?
I think the custody track shouldn't be a deputy. So I would agree with that. Maybe give the CA some sort of promotability and give them something they could run with and have less deputies there. I think that's the way to go personally. But and I guess they've gotten away from the custody track to a degree as far as promotions. I haven't kept up with it, but
oh, excuse me. From what I understand, they're still doing that with sergeants, though. They still have two tracks.
Huh.
I would have to revisit that, during boom times when you got, enough people and all the spots are filled and everybody's happy and you got money. That's one thing. But during these lean times, brother, you got to, the two big functions are running the jail and protecting the streets.
Yep.
And obviously the detectives that handle all of those issues,
Right.
but everything else is superfluous, man. It comes second, even access to care, the other jobs like that, you know what? Okay, I can do without that. Sorry guys, you got to strap on the gun belt and go do your job.
Well, you could get rid of a captain. I don't know how many lieutenants, probably 4. But you could break I'm just looking at access to care. If you were to dissolve that and hand those locations back to the places that managed them before, you could save a fair amount and redistribute that staff.
Well, and beyond that, I'm probably shooting myself in the foot here, but I don't think you need 2 captains at Men's Central Jail. My belief is if you have more than one person in charge, then nobody's in charge. I know the same issue is up at Lancaster. I think they got it at Palmdale. They probably got it in South LA Station, maybe Twin Towers, maybe NCCF. It's like, if you have a captain at Men's Central Jail that can't do the job, then you got the wrong captain there. That's like, look at the military, look at the Navy. You've got a captain in charge of a frickin' war machine that's got, 1,000 people on it. And they could go to war in about 10 seconds time, and you got one captain making the call.
Right.
So, I've got a Men's Central Jail with a couple hundred employees spread over 3 shifts. And if I can't handle that, okay, give me another operations lieutenant, right? But 2 captains and 2 captains' operational staffs, they'd be banging into each other. I mean, you've seen operations there, Kevin. It's pretty small.
Oh, it is. But so CJ and Twin Towers were the first ones to get the double captains.
Yeah. And then it branched out, right? Went to patrol.
Right. Yep. And so what that meant was the commander was now in charge for all intents and purposes, because you follow the chart up to one person.
Yep.
They also increased the staffing tremendously. I don't know where it is now. Twin Towers was almost 1,000 people if you included CAs and deputies, all shifts.
Mm-hmm.
But they had they had was it DLI and all these programs they came up with for the inmates, and they staffed all that stuff. I don't know where it stands today, but you had a tremendous amount of staff. Having said that, one captain was plenty. You didn't need
Yeah.
that. And the two
Yeah.
captains kind of looked at each other and tried to divide it, and they were good guys. I don't know. It just it was not ideal. I don't agree with it either.
Yeah, well, that came about when I call her Big Red was there.
Yes.
She was an assistant sheriff. She came in from CDCR, which is such a well-run machine, and she decided that she wanted it to look like CDCR, where they have 2 or 3 captains in charge of facilities, and all of a sudden that's what we end up with here. And I just think I could probably give the county back 5 or 6 captain items. You know what? And with salary, S&EB, you're probably talking $500,000 a piece. I could save them some pretty good money. And you know what I'd want to do? I'd want to take maybe 5 years prior to the 2 captains, and then the time where there's 2 captains, and see if it makes a single bit of difference with uses of force and use of pepper spray, assault on inmates assaults on staff. And I will bet you right now, without seeing anything, I'll bet you the numbers are the same. So that extra captain is doing nothing but feather bedding, as far as I'm concerned. They might think they're working hard, but they're hardly working.
I would say the numbers of force would go up as you move to modern time, only because, for all intents and purposes, although not in the manual, the definition has changed, and what's actually written, what's reported. It's mind blowing. And how many times that I had to. It was so that we have to show punishment for somebody. So let's send this person down to training, and Kevin, go ahead and spend some time and give him one-on-one training on how to properly interpret body language. Okay, so you come down, you watch a video, and we look at each other. It's all nonsense. The whole thing's nonsense. It's.
Don't put Clay Poirier's thing up here. Clay,
I didn't know what it meant.
Clay, you rat bastard. Whatever.
I don't think so.
You know what? Trevor's right though. They don't want to go to patrol and catch a case, and Dave's right too. They don't want to be in custody and catch a case.
I hear from people on LAPD, like supervisors and coppers, and they go, "Man, it doesn't matter what you do. They're going to beef you for something. It could be the most Mickey Mouse thing in the world, but you're going to get a beef."
Yeah,
LAPD.
well, it's and this guy, this alleged sheriff. I mean, it's just he caters to the BLMs and the cancel the contract people and the anti-police crowd, defund the police crowd, and oh my God, they use force. That's so horrible. The poor victim / suspect. I can't believe that they, pepper sprayed him in the face. It's like, I got pepper sprayed in the face just like you guys did when we were in the academy, right?
Absolutely.
I didn't start screaming, I can't see. It's just
You just get sprayed again.
that's right. Yeah, you get sprayed until you shut up, right? But
I got pepper sprayed in the face when we first got pepper spray, and I had a guy in a upper body control hold. So we were cheek to cheek, and this P3 decided, I'm going to pepper spray the suspect, not realizing the spray goes this way.
Well, those canisters they use in custody, like those 40-gallon cans of pepper spray they got, and if you got 5 inmates, you go. Everybody in the room, man. I mean, that's the way. You know what? But that's living, man. That's what life's all about. You got this job to have exciting stuff happen, and that's exciting to get a jet stream of pepper spray right in your face. I remember in the field too, back in the day, boy. If you're holding on to some guy and he gets a taser shot at him, that arc is going right through you too. Yeah. That's
fun.
Electrifying times, as they say. But we're making light of this, but you can see how dangerous it is and how out of control it is. And that's why I'm right back to, I don't think Luna's going to survive a second term. I don't think he's going to make it. I think that time is right. Maybe some old straight white conservative male might step up there and and decide that he's going to take him on, and where the rubber meets the road, and let's see what happens.
I wish we knew one in LA County that still lived there.
Yeah, I have a house in Santa Clarita, so
Close enough. Yeah, just right there,
Yeah.
right there in LA County.
that's LA County. Yeah, I'll talk to that guy and see what he says.
I do want to mention, folks, that Mike has really upped his game. If you'll notice, his mug is just such a handsome mug because he got a new camera. And then his voice is like angelic because he got a new microphone.
Microphone.
And
yeah.
Microphone. So he really loves you guys a lot. And he's really doing all this stuff to make you happy. Happy.
Well, you know what? Like I've said this 1,000 times, just because I retired doesn't mean that I've turned my back on my brothers and sisters in law enforcement. And I keep a sharp eye on the sheriff's department, which I know. 36 years, man. I know the department, how it breathes, how it walks, what makes it tick. I'm sure I know more about the department now than the dude that's there knows. I mean, he's just skimming the surface because it is a huge animal. The department's got 17,500 employees, and he came from a place with like 1,600 employees, and thinks that he can just walk in the front door and say, "I'm here," and it hasn't worked out.
I think if you were sheriff, Mike, I think the first thing you should do is sign an executive order outlining chocolate cake.
How's that, Dave? See, but look at what happens to me, Dave, when I do that.
Oh, he's go.
Yeah. I'll work on it, but thanks for that. And I got to say that they call me white for a reason. Okay, it's I've got that type 1 skin, man, where I am. This is. I didn't go to the beach when I was a kid because I either freckled or burned, and I didn't like either one. So.
Look at GJ's gonna make me cry. I'm okay. So, GJ, remember all the little people?
Yeah.
And then we got already it's starting. Look at it starting already.
There you go. Hey, but Dave, are you in LA County still? Won't matter if you're in Alabama.
I didn't catch what you were talking about, but I do understand that. We should have like little eerie music, little ghost music.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Zippy did powder my face. That's why I look like this.
Oh, look at Mike. Thank you for checking on the guys when no one else does.
Yep.
Cool beans, man.
Everybody's. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to call it because Mike, I think there's a warm cup of milk in the microwave for you. And
all right.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Appreciate that, brother. Hey, Kevin, you can come back anytime. Ken, we're gonna have to talk about.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, I can just sit around and push buttons. If you guys want to be on the show, let us know. That's how Kevin. I kept seeing Kevin's name, and he had good comments, and I said, "You got to be on the show." So Kevin's going to come back because he loves us that much. And if you want to be on the show, get a hold of me, Ken at policebackground.net, Ken at policebackground.net, and let us know that you want to be here. And we're still looking for that big night with GJ and Passe or
GJ and Passe. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. With those 28-inch pythons, they're going to go at it.
Boom. Get ready to rumble.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Mike, did you want to talk more? Because I'm here, man.
I don't know. Kevin, what's up with you? What's going on?
Nothing. I'm good. Whatever you want to do.
You had it? Nobody's got any stories? Nobody wants to jump in other than Passe and Greg? What's going on? And Dave, of course. Okay, you know what? I got one vote, man. Hey, if anybody's watching this and they're not already subscribed, push the subscribe button, please. It is free. It costs you nothing. Just do it, please, 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 please.
Whatever channel you're on, subscribe to that one and go to Mike's channel because we're going to need a big audience for that sometime. A wink, 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 wink. So, Mike needs all the subscriptions he can get. So go do that. And plus, when you like the videos, it gets people to see us. And so,
I get it. And once in a while, Ken picks up about a quarter or 30 cents when he gets monetized. So keep those
still
pennies
waiting.
coming, brother.
I'm still waiting for my first check. You got to get up to $100 before you can get a check from YouTube, and I'm at $6.
So you're making money that they're holding on to until you get a hundy? Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Good luck. You'd be about 106 by the time that comes through.
Part of it too is that content has everything to do with it, and YouTube is a little more time consuming, and so I don't put up videos like every 2 to 3 days, and so that has something to do with it.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of which, Rich Lewis had his back surgery, and he sent me a picture of his back full of staples, which I threw up in my mouth a little bit when I saw. But Zippy's mad at me for saying that, but he did. It got me where I almost threw up a little bit. But
I heard.
Did you hear
Zippy
Zippy in the background? Yeah. She's like three rooms over too, man. Hi, Zippy. 3 doors between us. But he's doing good. His back is better, and he said as soon as he's physically able, he wants to come back on the show, and this time he'd like to get in a word or two edgewise.
Yeah, and you know what? And that whole thing about I got staples in my back, that's what an excuse.
Well,
Come
it
on.
is so yesterday, I know, but
can you sit up?
It was nasty, man. Remember that guy, and I think it was in Goldfinger, that big tall guy that had the metal teeth, that looked like his back.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Jaws, yeah.
Jaws. Oh my God. It was just, whoa, man. It's making me irpy right now.
Zippy, are we okay talking about this? Is it cool? Because we already did.
Zip, we okay?
What to say, but
she might be throwing up a little bit.
Yeah, man.
Oh man.
All
right.
I don't know if we have. I'm sure the police news will come up with some good stuff by this time next week. So there's a good possibility we'll be back next week to talk about all kinds of things. Again, if you want to be on the show, get a hold of us. And certainly Mike has 5,000 friends, and you could pick anybody that you want.
Well, and I know that Passe and GJ right now are thinking about how they can plan coming on the show and kicking some arse. So bring it, boys.
Mm-hmm. That show probably wouldn't be monetized, but still. What? Oh my gosh, GJ! Oh, a nightly show. A nightly show at 1900. Oh my gosh, that would take a little bit of time. I do have other things I do, but that would be for Mike. I would do that every single night, Mike.
I could get a cardboard cut out of me and just put it there, and every once in a while I go, ha ha. Yeah, I could do that. Sure.
Yeah. So GJ and Passe, think about it. Let us know what you think. I think Mike's serious about having you both on there.
That'd be hilarious. Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
Man, the fireworks would just be everywhere.
That'd be cool. That would be awesome. So, Kevin, you got any last statements that will change people's lives in 10 seconds or less?
No.
9, 8, 7,
I would say it's a good time. I would encourage the other guys to come on. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's not scary or anything.
No, we're fun. We're fun. And Mike, you have anything you want to say?
There is, but I can't. There's things I want to say, but I can't.
What if Zippy says
Zippy's
yes?
right next to me. I don't think she's going to go for it.
Zippy should check in.
You're going to see her hand come in and go, poof.
She should check in and say hi to us.
She's not moving.
Back in the weeks in the weeks ago, she would go behind you and go to the cupboard.
Right. And you know what? She did that shit on purpose. I can tell you that right now. When the show when she thought the show was dragging, she'd walk over and just strut by in the background, pull a Diet Coke out of the fridge.
Funny,
it's like, yeah.
Oh, this is a good idea, Mike. During the campaign, Mike can run clips from the show with his campaign ads.
I'm not so sure that would be productive for me. Yeah.
Oh, that would
be like I'm the city doing traffic tickets, and I would be paying more than I'm taking in, right? So
Probably.
yeah, that would
Oh, that's
be
funny.
good. In fact, this show would probably have to just go by the wayside, I think.
Look for us next week. Kevin, thanks for being here. And Kevin, hang out after we sign off because we like to chit chat after. Okay.
Trevor,
thank
thanks
you,
for being
everybody.
there, brother. We'll talk to you.
Yeah, Trevor. All right.
And all you other pirates out there.